Welcome back to the Affair Chronicles, and thank you for joining us. Today, we have another captivating story that's sure to keep you hooked. Without further delay, let's get right into it. Alex Turner pulled into his driveway, his mind preoccupied with sustainability metrics and zoning regulations. His thoughts had been consumed by the innovative Green City project for months, but all of that vanished the moment he noticed Ian Brooks leaning casually against a luxury sports car. Ian's face twisted into a smug grin. "Hey, Alex. Just dropping off Lucy after a wild night. She's upstairs, getting ready for round 2. Don't worry, I left you a little present in your safe." Alex's muscles tightened as he stepped out of his car. Years of martial arts training took over as he swiftly grabbed Ian's wrist, twisting it sharply. Ian dropped to his knees, howling as gravel dug into his skin. Alex leaned in close, his voice low and steady. "That's just the beginning, you traitorous jerk." The world had shifted in a split second. Alex's mind raced to comprehend the depth of Ian's words, his best friend and his wife. The betrayal was a raw wound, but Alex's face remained emotionless. Ian whimpered, attempting to pull his arm free. "Come on, man. It was just a joke." Alex tightened his grip, feeling the bones in Ian's wrist grind together. "Funny, I'm not laughing." He shoved Ian back, sending him sprawling onto the driveway. Alex stood over him, fury darkening his gaze. "Get out of here, Ian. If I ever see you near my home again, you'll need more than a sports car to escape me." Ian scrambled to his feet, clutching his wrist, a look of fear on his face. He hesitated, then got into his car and sped away, tires squealing. Alex watched him leave, fists clenched at his sides. Then, with a sense of finality, he entered the house. The foyer was silent, but he could hear movement upstairs. His footsteps echoed as he climbed, each step closer to a confrontation he had never imagined. In their bedroom, he found Lucy hurriedly zipping up a dress, her face paling at the sight of Alex's cold rage. "Alex, I can explain," she began, but he cut her off with a raised hand. "Spare me the lies, Lucy. I know everything," he said, his tone dangerously calm. "How long?" Lucy's expression shifted from guilt to defiance. 8 months, she snapped. "Ian actually appreciates me, unlike you with your precious projects." Alex's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "I've been working on plans that could change urban living, Lucy. But I guess that's beyond someone as shallow as you." He turned to leave, but she grabbed his arm. "You can't just walk away. We need to discuss this." Alex shook her off, his eyes blazing. "We're done talking. Pack your things and leave my house. Now." Lucy's face twisted with anger. "You can't make me leave. This is my house too." "Is it?" Alex's voice was ice cold. "Because from where I stand, you gave up any claim to this place the moment you chose to betray me with my best friend." Lucy flinched, stunned into silence. Alex took advantage of the moment. "You have 1 hour. Anything left behind goes in the trash." He turned and left, ignoring her protests, his mind already focused on the next task, the safe. Ian had mentioned a gift, and Alex had a sinking feeling about what awaited him. Entering his study, a place where he'd poured countless hours into his designs, he moved the painting that concealed the safe. His hands were steady as he opened it. Inside was an envelope. Its contents made his blood run cold. Photos of Lucy and Ian in compromising positions, documents showing joint accounts, and, most shockingly, blueprints for his Green City project. As the weight of the betrayal sank in, his phone rang. It was his project manager, Sam Hayes. "Alex, we've got a serious issue. Someone's attempting to sell our Green City plans to a rival. The entire project is at risk." Alex took a deep breath, compartmentalizing his emotions. "I'll be there in 30 minutes, Sam. Don't make any moves until I arrive." He hung up, looking at the contents of the envelope with renewed resolve. This betrayal went deeper than he'd imagined. Lucy and Ian hadn't just shattered his trust, they'd tried to destroy his life's work. Gathering the evidence, his movements were calm and controlled. A plan was already forming in his mind. This was no longer just about his marriage, it was about safeguarding his legacy. As he headed to the door, he heard Lucy calling after him. "Alex, we need to talk about this." He paused at the threshold, turning back. She stood there, her face a mix of anger and desperation. "There's nothing to discuss," Alex said flatly. "You made your choice. Now, you live with the consequences." Lucy's eyes went wide as she noticed the envelope in his hand. "What are you going to do?" Alex's lips curved into a cold smile. "I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to build something. And you and Ian? You'll watch it crumble around you." He brushed past her, heading for the front door. Lucy called out again, her voice breaking. "Alex, please. I made a mistake." He paused, hand on the doorknob. Without looking back, he replied, "No, Lucy, you made a series of choices. Now, so am I." The door closed firmly behind him, leaving Lucy alone in what was no longer her home. Alex got into his car, his mind already shifting gears. The personal betrayal stung, but he couldn't afford to linger on it now. A bigger fight lay ahead, and Alex Turner was determined to come out on top. As he drove toward his office, Alex's mind raced. The Green City Project was his magnum opus, the culmination of years of research and innovation. If Ian and Lucy thought they could steal it from him, they were in for a harsh reality check. Alex's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He'd trusted Lucy with everything, his heart, his home, his dreams, and she'd thrown it all away for what? A fling with Ian? The thought made his stomach twist, but Alex wasn't one to wallow. No, he was a man of action, and right now, action was exactly what he needed. He pulled into the parking lot of Turner Architectural Innovations, his mind sharp and focused. As he walked into the building, he nodded at the night security guard. "Working late again, Mr. Turner?" the guard asked. Alex managed a tight smile. "Something like that, Frank. Looks like it's going to be a long night." He took the elevator to the top floor, where his office and the main conference room were located. As the doors opened, he saw Sam pacing nervously in the hallway. "Alex, thank goodness you're here," Sam said, his face pale with worry. "I've been going over the security logs, and it appears someone accessed our servers remotely last night. They copied a huge amount of data, including all the Green City plans." Alex's jaw clenched. "I know who did it, Sam. And we're going to stop them." Sam's eyes widened. "You know? Who was it?" Alex gestured for Sam to follow him into the conference room and closed the door behind them. "It was Ian, and my wife." Sam's jaw dropped. "Lucy? But why?" "That's what we're going to find out," Alex replied, his voice steely. "But first, we need to secure our project. Call Dana, get her down here. We're going to need legal counsel for what comes next." As Sam hurried to make the call, Alex spread the contents of the envelope across the conference table. The photos made his stomach churn, but he forced himself to view them dispassionately, as evidence. That's all they were now. 20 minutes later, Dana Richards arrived, looking sharp despite the late hour. Her eyes widened at the scene before her. "What's going on, Alex?" she asked cautiously. Alex gestured to the documents on the table. "We have a situation. Ian and Lucy have been working together to steal our Green City plans. They've already accessed our servers and copied the data." Dana's professional composure slipped momentarily, shock evident on her face. She quickly recovered, moving to review the documents. "This is serious," she said after a few moments. "But, Alex, you want to go through with this? It could get messy, fast." Alex's gaze was hard. "They tried to steal my life's work, Dana. I'm not going to let that slide." Dana nodded, her expression grim. "All right. Then we need to act fast. We'll file for an emergency injunction first thing in the morning. That'll buy us some time to decide our next move." Alex nodded, then turned to Sam. "I need you to go through every line of code, every blueprint, every bit of data related to the Green City project. If they've altered anything, no matter how small, I want to know." Sam nodded, already opening his laptop. "I'm on it, boss." As Sam and Dana got to work, Alex stepped out onto the balcony attached to his office. The city sprawled below, a shimmering web of lights. Somewhere out there, Lucy and Ian were probably celebrating their supposed victory. Alex's hands gripped the railing, knuckles white. They thought they'd won. They thought they'd beaten him. But Alex Turner didn't go down without a fight. And this fight? It was just beginning. He turned back to the conference room, where Sam and Dana were immersed in their work. This was his team, his real family, and together, they would make Lucy and Ian regret ever crossing Alex Turner. As the night wore on, Alex threw himself into the work. Every line of code, every financial document, every legal precedent became a tool in his arsenal. By the time the sun began to rise, they had the skeleton of a plan. "All right," Alex said, his voice hoarse from hours of strategizing. "Here's what we're going to do. Dana, file that injunction the moment the courts open. Make it airtight. I don't want Ian or Lucy able to move without our approval." Dana nodded, jotting notes. "I'll have it ready within the hour." "Good. Sam, implement the security protocols we discussed. Lock down everything, and I mean everything. If anyone tries to access our servers without clearance, I want to know immediately." Sam gave a tired nod. "You got it, boss. I'll have the tech team on it right away." Alex looked at his team, a surge of pride filling him. They'd endured a difficult night, but they'd come out fighting. "Thank you both. I know this isn't what any of us expected, but I couldn't ask for a better team." As Sam and Dana gathered their things and headed out, Alex turned back to the window. The city was waking up, unaware of the battle fought through the night. But soon, everyone would know. Alex Turner was not to be trifled with, and Lucy and Ian were about to learn that lesson the hard way. Alex's phone buzzed. A text from Lucy. "We need to talk, please." He deleted it without a response. There was nothing left to say. From now on, they'd communicate through lawyers. Alex took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. The battle had begun, and he was determined to emerge victorious, no matter the cost. Alex Turner strode into the offices of Turner Architectural Innovations the next morning, his appearance impeccable despite the emotional storm raging within. The lobby fell silent as he passed, employees sensing the barely restrained intensity radiating from their usually composed boss. Without a word of greeting, he headed straight for the conference room, where Sam Hayes and Dana Richards were already waiting. As he entered, both stood, their faces a blend of concern and resolve. "Our Green City project has been compromised," Alex announced, his voice steady. "But we're not just playing defense. It's time to go on the offensive." Sam's brow furrowed. "What do you have in mind, Alex?" Alex outlined his plan, his words precise and calculated. "We're going to feed false information about the project. Just the kind of data any corporate spy would find irresistible. Meanwhile, we'll launch an aggressive marketing campaign to attract additional investors and partners." Dana leaned forward, her analytical mind already dissecting the strategy. "You're setting a trap." "Exactly," Alex nodded. "We'll draw out the mole in our company and catch our competitors red-handed." Sam nodded, his fingers already tapping on his tablet. "I can start planting the false data immediately. We'll need to be careful, though, make it believable enough to bait the hook, but not so accurate that we jeopardize our real plans." Alex turned to Dana. "I need you to draft a series of non-disclosure agreements, ironclad ones. Anyone who so much as glances at a blueprint for this project needs to sign one." Dana was already making notes. "I'll have drafts on your desk by this afternoon." "And the marketing campaign? I want it to be bold but not desperate," Alex said. "We need to project confidence, even amid this setback. Set up meetings with our top-tier investors, I'll handle those personally." As the team dispersed to implement the plan, Dana pulled Alex aside. "This is risky, Alex." Alex's eyes gleamed with determination. "Sometimes, Dana, you have to risk everything to protect what matters most." Dana studied him for a moment, then nodded. "All right, I'm with you. But, Alex, be careful. This isn't just about the project anymore, is it?" Alex's jaw tightened. "No, it's not. But I can handle it." Over the following week, Alex poured himself into the work, his mind focused solely on the task at hand. He carefully planted misleading but tempting information about the Green City project, each piece more enticing than the last. In meetings with investors, he was the embodiment of confidence and innovation. "Imagine," he'd say, spreading out meticulously designed blueprints, "a city that doesn't just coexist with nature but actively nurtures it. Our Green City isn't just about sustainable living, it's about thriving in harmony with our environment." To the outside world, he maintained a calm exterior, but internally, he was a tightly wound spring, ready for the trap to be set off. Sam approached him on the 5th day, his face serious. "We've detected unauthorized access to our servers. Someone took the bait." Alex's eyes narrowed. "Do we know who?" "Not yet, but we've narrowed it down to a few IP addresses. One of them belongs to McLaughlin and Associates." A cold smile spread across Alex's face. "Perfect. Keep monitoring. I want to know the moment they make their move." Late one night, as Alex worked alone in his office, a silent alarm triggered. He watched through a hidden camera as a figure crept into the research and development lab. A smile spread across his face as he identified the intruder, Gregory McLaughlin, Ian's boss and Alex's longtime rival. Alex made his way to the lab, his footsteps silent. He found Gregory hunched over a computer, frantically copying files onto a thumb drive. "I expected Ian to be desperate enough to try this himself," Alex said, his voice cutting through the silence. "But you, Gregory? That's disappointing." Gregory whirled around, his face pale. "Alex, this isn't what it looks like." "Really? Because it looks like corporate espionage to me." Gregory's shock quickly morphed into a sneer. "Your precious green city was never going to work, Alex. We're simply redistributing the worthwhile ideas." "Oh, I think you'll find those ideas aren't quite what you expected," Alex replied as security guards entered the room. "Enjoy explaining corporate espionage charges to a judge." As Gregory was led away in handcuffs, Alex allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Phase 1 of his plan was complete, but the personal betrayal still demanded reckoning. The next morning, Alex called an emergency board meeting. As he recounted the events of the previous night, he saw shock and outrage spread across his fellow board members' faces. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alex concluded, "this attempted espionage has only strengthened my resolve. Our Green City project isn't just innovative, it's revolutionary enough to make our competitors risk everything to get it. I propose we double our efforts. Strengthen our security, yes, but also accelerate our timeline. Let's show the world what Turner Architectural Innovations can accomplish." The board approved unanimously, and as the meeting adjourned, Alex felt a surge of momentum. The trap had been sprung. Now, it was time for the next phase of his plan. The annual Architectural Innovation Gala was days away, offering the perfect stage for his next move. He spent hours with his tailor, ensuring his tuxedo was a flawless fit. Every detail had to be precise. On the night of the gala, Alex arrived alone, cutting a striking figure in his bespoke tuxedo. Whispers followed him as he moved through the crowd, the news of his separation from Lucy having spread like wildfire. He mingled with ease, shaking hands and engaging in small talk. To anyone observing, he was the epitome of a successful, confident businessman. Yet his eyes scanned the room, awaiting his target's arrival. Midway through the evening, Lucy and Ian made their entrance, clearly intent on flaunting their relationship. Lucy wore a bold red gown, while Ian donned a rented tux with a smug grin. Alex observed them from across the room, his face impassive. He noticed the way Lucy's eyes darted around, her smile forced. Ian, in contrast, appeared to relish the attention, his arm possessively around Lucy's waist. Alex approached the couple, champagne flute in hand. "Lucy, Ian, how good of you to come. I hoped you'd be here." Lucy's eyes narrowed. "What are you up to, Alex?" "Oh, just wanted to share some news with my dear wife and best friend," Alex replied, his voice laced with sarcasm. He tapped a spoon against his glass, calling for attention. The room fell silent, all eyes on Alex. He could feel the weight of their gazes, the anticipation building. This was his moment, and he intended to make it count. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make," Alex projected across the ballroom. "As some of you may know, my wife Lucy and my former friend Ian have been having an affair." Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Lucy's face turned pale, while Ian took a step back. Alex's voice hardened. "What you may not know is that they also attempted to steal proprietary designs from my firm. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that, thanks to their actions, McLaughlin and Associates is facing federal charges for corporate espionage." The room erupted in chaos. Lucy lunged at Alex, her nails scraping his cheek. "You bastard," she screamed. "You've ruined everything." Security quickly separated them, escorting Lucy and Ian from the gala. As they were led away, Alex locked eyes with Ian. The message was unmistakable. This was far from over. As the doors closed behind Lucy and Ian, the room buzzed with shocked whispers. Alex straightened his tie, ignoring the thin scratch on his cheek where Lucy's nails had caught him. Dana appeared beside him, her face a mixture of concern and admiration. "That was quite a scene, Alex. Are you okay?" Alex's lips curved into a cold smile. "Never better, Dana. Sometimes you have to lance the boil to let the poison out." Across the room, a group of investors who'd been wavering on the Green City project approached him. Their leader, a distinguished woman named Victoria Hartley, extended her hand. "Mr. Turner, I must say, your handling of this has been impressive. Perhaps we should revisit our discussions about the Green City project." Alex shook her hand firmly. "I'd be delighted, Ms. Hartley. Shall we schedule a meeting for next week?" As Victoria nodded, Alex caught his reflection in a nearby mirror. The man staring back was harder, colder than the one who'd entered the ballroom, yet stronger. Lucy and Ian had tried to break him, but instead, they'd forged him into something formidable. The gala continued around him, but Alex's mind raced ahead. This was only the beginning. He had exposed the rot within his personal and professional life, and now came the true challenge, rebuilding everything, better and stronger. As he mingled with the crowd, accepting condolences and fielding business propositions, Alex felt a clarity he hadn't experienced in months. The betrayal had wounded him deeply, but it had also liberated him. No more distractions, no divided loyalties. From now on, Alex Turner would be focused on one thing: success. The night wore on, a blur of handshakes and significant glances. By the time he left the gala, his phone was filled with messages from potential investors and partners, all eager to align with the man who had so decisively bested his adversaries. As his car pulled away from the venue, Alex looked back at the glittering ballroom lights. He had entered as a wronged husband and emerged as a force to be reckoned with. Lucy and Ian thought they had won, but their victory was as hollow as their values. In the days after the gala, Alex dove into his work with newfound drive. The Green City project, far from being derailed by the attempted theft, had gained unprecedented prestige. Investors who had been undecided were now clamoring to join what they saw as a transformative venture. Alex sat in his office, reviewing the latest projections with Sam. The numbers were promising, but Alex wasn't satisfied. "We need to push harder," he said, tapping his pen on the desk. "This isn't just about building a sustainable city anymore. It's about redefining what's possible in urban development." Sam nodded, making notes. "I'll get the team to reconfigure the plans. We could increase green space by another 15% if we adjust the transportation grid." "Do it," Alex replied. "And I want daily progress updates. We're not just going to meet our deadlines, we're going to beat them." As Sam left, Dana entered with a stack of papers. "Alex, I have the latest on the McLaughlin case. The prosecutors are pushing for the maximum sentence. Gregory's looking at serious jail time." Alex leaned back, a sense of satisfaction settling over him. "Good. Make sure our legal team provides all the support they need. I want this to be airtight." Dana hesitated for a moment. "There's something else." Lucy's lawyer reached out. "She's asking for a meeting to discuss the divorce settlement." Alex's jaw tightened. "Tell them my terms haven't changed. She gets nothing beyond what the prenup stipulates. If she doesn't like it, she can try her luck in court." As Dana left, Alex turned to look out the window at the city skyline. Somewhere out there, Lucy and Ian were dealing with the fallout of their choices. He allowed himself a moment to picture their distress, realizing just how poorly they'd miscalculated. But Alex didn't linger on it. He had a city to build, an empire to expand. Lucy and Ian were already fading into the background, cautionary tales in his path to success. He turned back to his desk, pulling up the latest designs for the Green City project. There was work to be done, and Alex Turner was just getting started. In the weeks following the gala, Lucy and Ian's lives began unraveling like a threadbare sweater. Ian, now jobless and under investigation, grew increasingly paranoid and unstable. His once smug grin had morphed into a permanent scowl, his eyes darting nervously in public. Lucy, on her part, found herself abruptly shunned by her social circle. The friends who once admired her designer outfits and lavish parties now avoided her completely. Her credit cards were frequently declined, cutting her off from the luxurious lifestyle she had taken for granted. One particularly humiliating afternoon, Lucy stood in line at a high-end boutique, her arms filled with dresses she could no longer afford. As the cashier swiped her card, Lucy's heart raced. The machine beeped, the red light flashing. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the cashier said without a hint of sympathy. "Your card's been declined." Lucy felt the judgmental stares of other customers. "There must be some mistake," she stammered. "Try it again." The cashier did, with the same result. Lucy's face burned as she slinked out of the store, empty-handed and humiliated. Meanwhile, Ian wasn't faring much better. His laptop had been seized as evidence, his phone likely tapped, and he jumped at every unexpected sound. The stress showed in the deep lines around his mouth and the gray at his temples. One evening, as rain pounded against the windows of their cheap motel room, Ian paced like a caged animal. "This is all your fault," he spat at Lucy. "If you hadn't been so obvious about the affair." Lucy's eyes flashed. "My fault? You convinced me to steal Alex's designs. You said it'd be easy money." Ian's hand twitched, as if he wanted to strike her. "Well, if you hadn't been so incompetent." Their bickering was interrupted by a knock at the door. Both froze, exchanging panicked glances. Ian approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. His shoulders relaxed when he recognized the visitor. "It's just the pizza guy," he muttered, fumbling for his wallet. But as he opened the door, two men in dark suits pushed their way inside. "Ian Mitchell?" one asked, flashing a badge. "We have some questions about your involvement in a corporate espionage case." As Ian was led away in handcuffs, Lucy sat on the bed, her head in her hands. How had it all gone so wrong? Across town, Alex Turner sat in his office, reviewing the latest updates on the Green City project. The betrayal had only fueled his drive, and the plans were more ambitious than ever. He was so engrossed in his work that he almost missed the sound of breaking glass downstairs. Alex's body tensed, years of martial arts training taking over. He moved quietly through the darkened house, following the muffled voices coming from his study. "We have to do something, Ian." Lucy's voice was frantic. "He's destroying us." "Keep your voice down," Ian hissed. "I have a plan. We just need to access his personal files. There has to be something we can use." Alex stepped into the doorway, his silhouette framed by a flash of lightning. "Looking for something?" Lucy gasped, while Ian lunged at Alex. A fierce struggle ensued, with Alex's martial arts training giving him the advantage. He ducked under Ian's wild punch, using his momentum to slam him into the wall. Ian staggered and charged again, but Alex sidestepped, grabbing Ian's arm and twisting it behind his back. Ian howled in pain as Alex forced him to the ground, pinning him with a knee. "You never learn, do you?" Alex said coldly. "Breaking and entering, attempted theft. You're not helping your case." Lucy stood frozen, her eyes wide with fear and a glint of something else. A reluctant admiration for the man she'd betrayed. As sirens wailed in the distance, Alex turned to Lucy. "Is this really the man you chose over me? A desperate, failed criminal?" Lucy's face crumpled in defeat as the police arrived to arrest them both. As they were led away, Alex caught a glimpse of Lucy's face. For a moment, he thought he saw a flicker of regret, but then it vanished, replaced by the same defiance he'd come to expect. Alex watched the police car drive away, feeling not triumph, but a weary satisfaction. The storm had passed, both literally and figuratively. Now it was time to rebuild. Months passed. Alex threw himself into his work, pushing the boundaries of sustainable architecture. The Green City project, far from being derailed by the attempted theft, had garnered international attention for its innovative approach to urban planning. Alex's days became a blur of meetings, design reviews, and negotiations. He worked harder than ever, driven by ambition and a need to prove he was more than the sum of his personal setbacks. At the groundbreaking ceremony, Alex stood before a crowd of investors, politicians, and media. The air buzzed with anticipation, cameras flashing like fireflies in the evening light. As Alex began his speech, his eyes scanning the crowd, he spotted two familiar faces at the back. Lucy and Ian, looking haggard and resentful, had slipped in unnoticed by security. For a moment, Alex faltered, then squared his shoulders, his voice steady as he addressed the audience. "This green city represents more than just buildings and infrastructure," Alex said, holding his gaze on the two people who had tried to ruin him. "It's about resilience, about taking the worst life throws at us and using it as a foundation to build something extraordinary." As he spoke, he saw the emotions flicker across Lucy's face: anger, regret, and finally a dawning realization of what she'd lost. Ian just looked bitter, his eyes darting around as if seeking an escape. "We stand here today not just to break ground on a new city," Alex continued, "but to lay the foundation for a new way of living. A way that respects our planet, nurtures community, and shows we can thrive without harming the world around us." The crowd burst into applause. As reporters clamored for quotes, Alex watched as Lucy and Ian slunk away, finally realizing the magnitude of what they'd thrown away. Later that evening, as Alex was leaving his office, he heard Lucy's voice behind him. "Alex, please. I've lost everything. I made a terrible mistake. Can we try again?" Alex looked at her, remembering the vibrant, confident woman he had once loved. Now, she seemed small, diminished by her choices. "Where's Ian?" Alex asked, his voice devoid of emotion. "Did he abandon you when things got tough?" Lucy's eyes filled with tears. "He left weeks ago, said I was dragging him down. Alex, you're all I have left." For a brief moment, Alex felt a flicker of the love he'd once held for her. But he quickly remembered the betrayal, the pain, the attempted sabotage. The feeling vanished. "You made your choice, Lucy," he said firmly. "Now you have to live with it. I've moved on, and so should you." As he got into his car, Lucy called out desperately, "What am I supposed to do now?" Alex paused, his hand on the door handle. He turned back to her, his face impassive. "Start over. Build something of your own. And remember this feeling the next time you're tempted to destroy someone else's life for your own gain." He drove away, watching her figure shrink in his rearview mirror. As Alex drove home, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The confrontation with Lucy had been the final act in a drama that had consumed his life for far too long. Now, at last, he could focus entirely on the future. Over the next year, the Green City project consumed Alex's days and nights. He pushed himself and his team harder than ever, determined to create something truly revolutionary. The setbacks and challenges were many, but Alex met each one head-on, his resolve strengthened by the trials he had overcome. Finally, after months of intense work, the first phase of the Green City was complete. Alex stood at the window of his new penthouse, overlooking the burgeoning metropolis. Solar panels glinted on rooftops, while green spaces thrived between the sleek, sustainable buildings. This was more than just a city, it was a vision of the future brought to life. Alex's firm was thriving, with his innovative designs reshaping skylines around the world. The betrayal that had once threatened to ruin him had become the crucible from which his greatest achievements were born. On his desk lay a letter, an invitation to be a keynote speaker at an international architecture symposium. As he picked it up, a small news clipping slipped out. Curious, Alex unfolded it. It was a brief article about a local community center offering job training programs. In the grainy photo, he spotted a familiar face: Lucy, volunteering as a receptionist. Alex allowed himself a small smile. The wound of betrayal had healed, leaving behind not a scar but a badge of resilience. He had emerged stronger, wiser, and more successful than ever before. The past was behind him, and the future stretched out, bright and full of possibilities. As the sun set over his green city, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alex knew that the best was yet to come. A year later, Alex stood at the window of his penthouse, overlooking the thriving eco-city. His firm was prospering, his designs transforming skylines globally. The betrayal that once threatened to destroy him had become the forge from which his greatest accomplishments emerged. On his desk was a letter inviting him to speak at an international architecture symposium. As he picked it up, a small news clipping slipped out. It was an article about a community center offering job training programs, with Lucy pictured as a volunteer receptionist. Alex allowed himself a faint smile. The betrayal's wound had healed, leaving behind not a scar but a symbol of resilience. He'd emerged stronger, wiser, and more successful than ever. As for Lucy, her fall from grace had been swift and harsh. After the failed break-in attempt, she served a brief sentence for her part in the corporate espionage. On release, she found herself shunned by her former social circle and struggling to rebuild her life. Working as a receptionist at the community center was far from her previous lifestyle, but it was a start. Ian hadn't fared much better. His involvement in the espionage led to a longer prison term, and after his release, he found himself unemployable, his reputation shattered. Last Alex had heard, Ian was working as a night janitor at a small office building, a far cry from his former executive role. As Alex turned back to the window, gazing out at the city he had helped shape, he felt no lingering anger towards Lucy or Ian. Their actions had set him on a path to success he could never have imagined. And as the sun set over his eco-city, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alex Turner knew that the best was still to come. This is where our story ends. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to the channel. Click on the video on the screen, and I'll see you there.